In Health Watch, a number of new meatless alternatives to traditional burgers have made headlines in recent months, but some consumers have raised questions about what these products are made from and how nutritious they really are. Dietitian Rachael Hartley is joining me now from Columbia, South Carolina, to talk a little bit more about these new meatless burgers. So these are like, people have been familiar with veggie burgers for a very long time, but these new sort of fangled meatless burgers, they sort of feel like meat, they kind of almost bleed like meat. I have my little quotation mark fingers up, but they're kind of on a different level, and they use different types of proteins that maybe we hadn't seen before. So let's start with that. What are some of the ingredients that are used in these products?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're actually made in a much more simple way than you might imagine. They're made from a variety of different plant proteins, things like wheat protein, soy proteins, pea proteins that are blended with different plant oils and starches like potato starches. So some of them are going to use things like beet extract for color. Others are going to use more of like a plant-based heme to make it bleed like meat. So, yep, less processed than you might imagine.
Okay, so I suppose that's good news. But then when it comes down to nutrition, and people choose to go meatless for a variety of different reasons. For some people, it has more to do with the environment and ethics. For other people, it really is about, being more aware of what they put in their body nutrition-wise. So how do these new burgers compare to traditional burgers, just regular meat burgers, nutrition-wise?
Right, absolutely. No, I find it so interesting that it's framed this way because when they designed these burgers, they didn't necessarily design it to be a health food per se. These are really designed for people who maybe are concerned about animal welfare, maybe they're concerned about sustainability, but they still enjoy the taste of beef. And I think that's really what this product actually provides. So, from a nutritional standpoint, when we look at macronutrients, honestly, there's not a huge difference between beef and these plant-based burgers. I know the article that was shared talked a lot about saturated fat content, but it's really just a couple of grams. And from, a health perspective, a couple of grams of saturated fat is not something that I'm going to be worried about.
Right.
When you look at micronutrients, certainly these aren't going to have the same zinc and B12 as those as regular beef. But again, these have been fortified with added vitamins and minerals, so they're fairly the same. I think the only thing that stood out to me is the sodium content. So for someone who is on a sodium restricted diet for medical purposes, they might want to be just a bit more cautious about using these burgers. On the other hand, a lot of people salt their beef before cooking, so it may just be a wash.
What about how they compare to kind of the old style veggie burger that might have been made out of tofu or, I don't know, black beans or something like that?
Right, exactly. So generally those burgers, I'm thinking of the frozen burgers made with quinoa and different beans and vegetables added to it. Of course, made with more fruits, or not fruits, but with more vegetables and beans, they're going to have a lot more vitamins, minerals, fiber. So from a nutrition perspective, they'll contain more nutrition. But again, you're missing that taste of beef. So I think they're all just three different options that people might choose for different reasons.
Yeah, I know they call those burgers, but really there's not really burgers. So then when it comes to kind of like these new meat alternatives, you give it a thumbs up, you give it a sideways thumbs. What's your kind of, if somebody's looking to the new year and they're like, maybe I want to revamp my diet, you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's one option among many. So, I'd say eat them the same way that you would a regular burger. So probably not every single day, but not because it's bad, but just because there's other proteins that really provide us with a lot of nutrition too. So we can have beef. We can also use the Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers. We can also do other plant-based proteins like beans and tofu, or do more sustainable animal-based options like eggs or dairy products. So again, one option for people to choose.
That is good advice. Rachael Hartley, thank you so much.
Thanks.